Well,
No.
look
Well,
at the
there's
richest country in the world, the United States, and it's pretty much the same thing there. It's just that the United States is so much significantly wealthier that it doesn't pan out in the same way as Ukraine, maybe. But like you mentioned, potholes and stuff like that. Have so much wealth concentrated among such a small proportion of the population. Like the U.S. has its oligarchs. Norway has also its oligarchs. We had like one of our, we don't call them oligarchs here. The Russians have
Yeah.
oligarchs, the Ukrainians have oligarchs, and the Americans have
CEO.
oligarchs, but we don't have oligarchs, right? And so we have this guy who he got the amount is insignificant, irrelevant because I have to do currency exchange, but it's essentially he got an extra profit in billions of dollars, which constituted over 10% of Norway's national export. That is what this one guy got in extra profit. Right, and what do you think happens to some people? Like if you point that out, they were like, "Oh, are you a communist or something like that?" The only response I can give when they're that ridiculous is like, "What are you, a corruptionist?" It's like, yeah, and yeah, we support our oligarchs. That's something we have to. We cannot ever just say
in
anything about that.
America,
It's
in
only
America,
other
People
ones.
cry
all
when
the
Steve Jobs die,
billionaires.
right?
No,
People cry
in
when Steve Jobs
America,
die.
all the rich billionaires are called entrepreneurs and creative masterminds. But if you're a billionaire in any other part of the world, you're an oligarch manipulating and destroying the lives of the people who you live around.
It depends
So
on where
Yeah,
you
now
politically lean. If you're Elon Musk and you start, playing around with the right a little bit, all of a sudden you become a demon. So it really is your politics in
Yeah.
America.
big time.
that's a good point. That's a good point. I never thought about that Elon Musk and Steve Jobs are all oligarchs.
They are. Bezos
They
is
are.
an
We don't
oligarch.
call that.
So in Russia they
Elon
try to
Musk is
suppress the
closest.
oligarchs. In America they cry when the oligarchs die.
Yeah.
Well, thinking about Twitter and on
None of our
topic of
oligarchs fall out of
this
busted
reveal
women
that
once.
it's been like a yo JP. It's revealed that Elon has a lot of like connections with the Starlink thing and NASA. That's a lot. Like Elon is rich to a large extent through government subsidies.
Well, yeah. Do you know how much money he received for subsidies for SpaceX? It was like $11 billion a month.
10 times more than NASA, I think it was, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a strategic asset.
Well,
so,
yeah. He
Yeah,
said we're not going to use SpaceX for weapons, and
But-
then 2
but
weeks
this is
later
how
they
authoritarian
announced that they're
is
using
work.
it for weapons.
Right, and so this is how it works in the United States, where the election is more like an illusion of democracy and not so much of a democracy, because where this money is basically being funneled through the public sector, be it space programs or the military or whatever, and handed over to the private sector, which are owned, monopolized at this point by a few people. And this goes from Bezos and Bill Gates in particular, right? That's why this COVID,
I mean,
he
I would
had
take
a
it a bit
lot to do
further.
with this.
The United States isn't a democracy or republic anymore. It is 100% an oligarchy. And
Yeah.
we hear about how Russia's an oligarchy and China's run by oligarchs, this, that, and the other. And like, no, you want to talk about real oligarchy, you want to look at the United States. Try and go do any action outside of your house that involves using your money that will not directly benefit like one of 4 or 5 oligarchs in this country.
And this applies for much of the world where because these are transnational as well, so they
Yeah.
kind of in some countries they have roped them completely in. So like Manny, who was here, his family from Ghana, that's very easy for me to see when I'm down there that these IMF restructurings, first of all, the World Bank sets conditions where a lot of investments cannot be done that makes them independent on food production, for example, and a lot of manufacturing development. So these institutions that cloak themselves as kind of helping these countries with investments are actually setting terms that do the opposite. And then the IMF comes in and sets terms for economic restructuring where they are forced to sell off their public assets. And this is where you see that, they cannot have a trade protection, so they cannot subsidize their own industries. And so and they have to open their markets, right? So this is called free trade, right? And they all have to open their market again and not subsidize their own industries against multinational industries that are subsidized by some of the wealthiest nations in the world. So of course, their local industries get wiped out. And then once that has happened, monopoly is firmly entrenched. And so you see, like, whatever the people do there, like they unless they're living in the village, then they might do okay because they can make their own food and rely on stuff, but they can't move anywhere else in the world, right? So money becomes a scarcity that always is funneled out from this countries in this way. And this is the thing is that this is the same that happens in the United States as well.
Guys.
The same with our corporations in Norway are doing the same, for example, in Ghana to a lesser degree.
Guys,
but they're concentrated.
Say the craziest shit you can. Nobody? All right. No hot takes?
Oh, I don't know what will be defined as
Singapore is not a democracy. Hot
The
take.
SBU got it.
No, it's not. He even openly admitted that it's not.
Well, it's a republic, but it don't have to be a democracy. So they're not the same thing.